So this is The Art of Birth with Savannah, a birth photographer. And it's a gorgeous video that we're really excited to see. We know that the mom and the hardworking papa work to have their baby. And then big sister comes in to visit. And what an amazing midwife. I'm really impressed with all her skills. Are you guys ready for this?
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Oh my God, I love a mama in full makeup.
It's the lash extensions.
Oh, that's what you said last episode.
I was just telling someone about that. Do the lash extensions. It looks like you've got full face on.
I mean, she already's beautiful, but...
First of all, look at what this midwife is doing. This is really cool. This is a TENS unit. And if you mamas don't know what a TENS unit is, it is a magical piece of equipment borrowed from the UK and physical therapy. And it creates a little electrical stimulus over the muscles anywhere on the body. But in labor, we tend to use it in the low or mid back where there is a significant amount of pain. And it vibrates and buzzes and actually like sends little electrical signals that makes the muscles contract on their own. And this works on the gateway theory of pain. So this gateway theory of pain is this idea that you either have like a New Jersey Turnpike, like central nervous system, or you have like a backwoods country central nervous system. But whatever kind of central nervous system you have, there's only so much space for so much information, right? So the idea is that if we interrupt some of the lanes of traffic, that we will interrupt your sensation of pain. So what the TENS unit, and then another technique midwives use is sterile water papules. I have some videos about that here on the YouTube channel. But what they do is they interrupt the flow. So let's say you have a New Jersey Turnpike, which means you have 5, 6, 8 lanes of traffic, right? So if you're having a back labor, which I'm pretty sure this mom is having, because a few seconds earlier, we just saw the midwife feeling her belly, which is always a clear sign the midwife's being like, what position is your baby in? Which I do too. But let's say this lady is having abnormal pain, back pain. We can use the sterile water papules, or we can use the TENS unit to interrupt the signals of pain. So we have this 8-lane highway up your central nervous system, up your back. And if you're having a back labor, your baby's facing posterior, the back of the occiput is pushing on your sacrum. Now we have pain, 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 pain. Every lane, every car is delivering pain to your brain. If we put the sterile water papules, or if we put the TENS unit electropads on, then it's like pain, electric buzz, pain, electric buzz, pain, electric buzz. It interrupts the traffic. It's like a bunch of signal places. So you're still having all that back pain. Your baby's still in a funky position. You're still experiencing the same labor you have. There's no chemical interaction. There's no medical interaction. There's no, you're not altering the course of labor. You're just altering your felt sense of pain. And this is why I love these natural techniques. So we saw some TENS units being placed on her low back, which is a dead giveaway that she's having abnormal back pain. And she probably has a malpositioned baby. Okay, that's my soliloquy.
Or
as
a doula.
Tell me more. Tell me your doula perspective.
So I use the TENS unit in 2 different ways, right? So you can either have the gate theory, or you can actually stimulate the endorphins with the TENS unit. So you have the gate theory. So on low mode, right, you've got this gate theory. On high mode, we're actually creating an alternate pain to stimulate the body's release of endorphins so that you can handle labor sensations better going forward, right? So sometimes if I see a mama that's like not relaxing, not in it, not in labor land, high adrenaline, high cortisol, will immediately go to the TENS unit and turn it on high, which stimulates an endorphins response in her body, and then comes off, and she can handle anything her body is handling in labor because she's now got the endorphins flowing and oxytocin and things like that too. So yeah, 2 different ways that I use it. This was brought to you by Mama TENS, only available in the UK.
Yeah, why don't we have stock in this product?
Just saying. Yeah, totally. And so I agree. I think it is a great thing for posterior sunny side up babies. I mean, Augustine will probably either, have another thing to say on this too, but something from a birther's perspective, sign of a posterior baby is not just back labor, but it's like this. Nothing fixes it. Like double hip squeeze doesn't work. Being on hands and knees doesn't work. It doesn't go away in between contractions. It is like your back is peeling out of your body. It's not like an ache in your lower back. Like
right.
Back
The
labor,
ache,
right?
Ache is a baby word compared to what happens.
Yeah. Oh, it's kind of the contraction kind of starts in my back and wraps to my front. No, this is something totally different. And the TENS unit can help alleviate that. And here's my big thing. Posterior babies need some type of either like spinning babies or they're making their way through in a posterior way that's really necessary based on the type of pelvis you have. But there's usually a lot of like, we need to do, or you need to get through in order to be out of it.
Wait. Hashtag we need to do, or you need to get through. Leila!
I mean, it's true, right? We need to either rebalance so that this baby can come into a better position for your pelvis and your body, or like, this is how this baby needs to come through in this space based on your pelvis and your body. But the people, the people that like have such a hard time, like I cannot even get them to do an inversion because it's just excruciating back pain, so I can't get the baby to change positions. Or we cannot just let this go a little bit longer so you can be out of that back pain because it's just excruciating. So the TENS unit can break that up so that way we can get to the next point in labor, which is either releasing those endorphins, moving baby, or being done with that part and moving on. So
I'm just gonna clap at you for a while. Can I just say, this is just a little like aside. I fucking love doulas. God.
Yeah, me too. So when I'm a midwife, I'm gonna require my clients to have a doula. Require them. It's gonna be built into my care plan. Like you have to have one. I will not be your midwife without a doula. I won't.
Brilliant. That, like, seriously, Bekah, you're about to be a new mama. Do you have a doula?
I don't.
You need to get your doula.
I know. My sister-in-law has had 4 home births, 1 car birth. So 3 home births, 1 car birth.
Yeah.
Nice.
I actually scratched that. Anyway, she's incredible. She needs to be in birth work somehow. She was at my first birth and she was basically my doula. And I kind of begged her to come to this birth. She lives 3 hours away now and has 4 kids. So I don't have a doula, but I really wanted her to be there because it made such a difference. It really did.
I had a doula for every single one of my births. And I remember my doulas with so much gratitude. They solved problems I didn't even know I had. Like a posterior baby. 3 days posterior labor. My first. And then with the other
sign of a posterior baby.
That it's 3 days. Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, totally. Well, but then future babies was like the like drama of like family and running your household and pets and laundry and dishes and kids and like all the things that have to be done. Whether you're home or not, like your life still has to run. Doulas are awesome for that. You're going to have a kiddo.
Oh yeah.
Like he might need
like
you.
Another kid while you're having a kid.
In that sense, then my dad's going to be the doula because he's taking my son. He's going to
be a sibling doula.
He's going to have some grandpa, some papa, grandson time. I couldn't remember the word for
The
grandson.
sweetest thing.
Very fun.
This episode was also brought to you by the Cub. Like, do you see
Right?
this gorgeous? Like, that was
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, can we just buy stock in that?
Yeah, I have 2 of them. Okay, yeah, I bought a Cub for every L&D unit in Orlando because it's so incredibly necessary. I'm their favorite doula now.
Yeah, do they use it?
Mm-hmm. Now, I bring one with me at every birth as well because there's only one on every L&D unit in Orlando.
Yeah.
Because I'm the only one that bought it. So it's been amazing for moms with epidurals, right? Clients with epidurals and wanting upright birth, hands and knees with epidurals, squats. Squat supported, so dad sits on the Cub on the bed and mom sits elbows around dad's knees in like a deep squat or on the floor. So I had this birth one time at one of our really huge, it's actually like the only like level 4 NICU in the United States or something like that. It's one of our biggest, like very medically oriented birth hospitals. But after the birth, on a squat on the Cub on the floor in the hospital, the CNM comes out of the birth and she takes her gloves off. She puts them in the trash. She goes, I feel like a real fucking midwife. I was like, yeah, totally. You know, you tired of that Mick Roberts on the bed? I hear you. Feel you. Like, that's what's possible with upright birth. And something like a Cub is deflatable. They can store it in their closets. L&D nurses have a really great ability to like learn how to use it and all the different positions. But the way that I use it the most is hands and knees supported under the chest, and then like lunge out, hands and knees, lunge out, hands and knees, or as a birth stool. So yeah, hospitals are loving it for sure.
Thank you, Leila. Thank you for all the moms in all of Orlando who get to benefit from your gift. So here's the TENS unit. We had a midwife check her belly, which means we think she's probably got a malpositioned baby.
All right, what do you guys call this?
Rebozo.
I call it candy wrapper.
Candy wrapper for the booty,
because
delicious booty.
When you make the little like squish on the
yeah.
side of the hips, it makes it look like a piece of candy.
Yes, candy wrapper. That's such a good name. Let's call it a candy wrapper.
Or like shake the apple tree, bum jiggling, rebozo sifting.
Yes, sifting.
Oh, look at that moment of support right there.
Is that the midwife or the mom?
Midwife. Totally midwife.
Oh. Oh.
There you go, Bekah.
Don't make me cry.
There you go, Bekah.
Oof, the
Shaking.
shakes.
Oh, they have all the tools, don't they?
Peanut balls. Dad is in it.
I have a mama question.
Yay, go.
Is it that why do mamas shake so much? Like get the intense shakes
Good question.
laboring or immediately following birth? Should I re-ask?
Great question. No, I love it. I love it. Leila, do you want to take it or do you want me to?
I'm interested in your thoughts because I have heard 2 different things, so I want to see what you say.
So women shake in labor for a couple of different reasons. One could be pain. Pain makes the body do interesting things. Another can be actual physiologic response to pain. And then there can also be a hormonal reaction because of temperature change. So there's a lot of work that the pregnant body does in labor, and it can cause the shakes. And then even after baby comes out, There can be the shakes because of the loss of temperature.
Mm.
So when water and fluid and placenta leave the womb, the body drops degrees of temperature. And you can have a shake, a postpartum shake, because of the hormonal shift, the loss of temperature, the emotions and the pain. All of that is part of it. And it's hard to identify exactly what it is in each like moment. Do you remember shaking in labor or postpartum?
I don't remember personally,
Yeah.
but I've seen it happen so much, and I kind of expected it, and I don't know if I just don't remember or I just didn't shake.
Mm-hmm. Leila, you've seen it a bunch.
Yeah, and it's usually associated with transition and postpartum. So I usually see it the most somewhere around like 7, 8, 9, 10, and then again right after baby. And the hardest part for so many birthing people is this fighting the shake, right? Like they want to like stop shaking, and the more you fight the shaking, the harder the shaking gets, like the more you shake. And so I like hormonally increase in estrogen causes the body to go into these shakes as well, along with it's kind of like what we just saw them doing with the bum jiggling, right? We saw the shaking occurring from an external source. The body's shaking is allowing like a muscular release to like relax and let go. And so the more you fight that, the less your body feels like it's working and the more it starts shaking. And so it's like this catch-22. So like just letting your body shake and dropping into that shake and allowing it to shake is really important. But I think that what's super important to take away though is the partner's response to the shake. Because partners see the shake and think you're cold, and it's usually not actually that you are feeling cold. Maybe, especially if you're in transition, like hot during a contraction, cold in between contractions, things like that. But so they like layer blankets and like heating pads, and she's like, "Get it off me!" And you're like, "Yeah, definitely transition, right?" But that when we see the shakes, to help her shake more, to jiggle, to rock, to sway, to relax, to release, to drop in, to surrender, to relax, things like that.
I love
seems
that.
to be better.
I love that. Yeah, and I'll add one more piece, and that is that the stress of labor, the intensity of labor requires the body to off gas, to release.
Totally.
Because if you hold on to that, you almost explode, right? Or you go backwards, right? I know this from horse world, like I'm a horse girl from like way, way, way back. I learned how to ride before I learned how to walk. When horses contain their energy, they literally explode. If you've ever watched races or jumping shows or anything like that, if the rider or the jockey isn't really skilled, they'll back the horse's energy up until they explode in a capriole or a lunge or a buck or a rear or something like that. So human bodies react the same way. And shaking is a way of off-gassing energy. In fact, the way I was born was a very traumatic, long, long labor. And I had seizures for the first couple weeks of my life as a way, I think, to off-gas that stuck energy from a 6-day labor. Mm-hmm. And now even today, whenever I'm on a really safe provider's table, I'll like get these like really big shakes because my body learned that as a really effective way to release stress and energy.
Yeah. Agreed. Agreed. Letting it go. Like listen to your body and do what your body's doing.
Oh, she's making all the noises. When you watch videos like these, I think you understand a lot better why like our ancient ancestors were burned at the stake. It looks like magic, right? We go from a writhing, crazy, painful woman to being like, oh, it works. Watch. All these positions and all these techniques. Midwives are magic.
Yeah, you're totally right. That baby's in a funky. They just did side-lying release. Now they're trying to do an inversion.
With a good squatty potty.
Yeah, good idea.
For a high bed. Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
So with the inversion, you can keep this playing. They're literally trying to kind of like back up baby a little bit, right? So if baby's in a like suit is low and either posterior or chin extended, right? Then with the inversion, it's just enough to have baby go, ooh, you know, and tuck chin and maybe turn enough, or just tuck chin. Sometimes it's not posterior, it's just tuck the chin. You can have a posterior baby with the great flexed flexed.
So she's experimenting with pushing, but continuing to change positions because she's really not got a rotated baby yet. She might be 9 centimeters or almost complete or even complete, but her baby's not in a good position. So that's why they keep trying different positions. So I think at this point, she's trying to like power her baby out. Let's see if that works. Because for some multips, it does. I think it did work. She powered her baby out.
I'm interested to see like a ledge.
Yeah, me too. Is there a coronal suture ledge?
Oh, that baby.
Daddy worked really hard too.
Yeah, I love those scenes. Look at them. They're so beautiful. What a great team. Oh, yeah, you can see the coronal suture there.
Yeah.
Took the long way around. He finally came out OA, but he definitely took the long way around the pelvis. Midwives are so great at being unobtrusive. They like let the family bond and do a blood pressure.
Yeah.
That coronal suture, the top of the baby's head there. So for mamas who are watching, can you see how the frontal bone, the forehead, has worked itself underneath the rest of the skull bones? And then you see this really intense divot across the top and the front of the baby's head. That's running over the anterior fontanelle, over suture lines. And this is how the baby's head is designed to be born. It like stretches and molds and moves, and it fits through many less than optimal positions. But on this particular position, because of that coronal suture molding, where the frontal bone has worked its way under the rest of the skull, you know for certain this baby took the long way around the pelvis, because you can see the markings of the maternal pubic bone on that frontal bone. So if you can picture it, the part that's drawn up and out in the lower section of this frame was trying to come down through the cervix and through the vaginal canal. But that indentation, that line horizontally across the baby's head, is the mother's pubic bone. So a good 25%, 20% of the baby's head was hanging over the pubic bone into her abdominal cavity, where the rest was trying to come back into her pelvis. But the occiput, the back of the baby's head, which isn't visible in this frame, was pushing on the maternal pelvic bone and could not fit through. So this is a perfect example of why OP babies are the hardest babies to have. And it shows you how this baby did eventually rotate and was born OA, but took the long way around the pelvis and sat OP for a good portion of the labor.
So while we're on that too, you know, I think that I talk to a lot of my clients a lot about cephalopelvic disproportion disorder, right? So we talk about big babies, heads too big for pelvis discussion, and how really that's pretty rare. But
it's a myth.
Yeah. Man, if an OB reached up and felt this versus this, they're gonna be like,
yeah, it's not gonna fit.
Never gonna fit.
Yeah.
Never gonna fit. Because they don't really, okay.
No, go ahead.
It's rare to
no
find.
filter.
It's rare to
say it.
find. Not everybody, but it's rare to find an obstetric provider that really understands how to read suture lines and fontanelles of baby's head to identify the position that the baby's in based on landmarks in the bony pelvis and the soft tissues of the ligaments in the pelvic floor in order to say, there's some positioning here that could help, not your baby's too big. But why would they? All they got to say is like, this isn't going to work because you're flat on your back with an epidural. Let's go for a C-section. Like, I mean, it is a bit of a challenge in this.
Well, you've run up against a philosophical challenge, a logistical challenge, a financial challenge, a time management challenge. I mean, you've run up against the crux between midwifery and obstetric care.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's going to take a lot. Well, for most pelvises, it's going to take a lot longer and a lot harder to get baby out. Not all pelvises, right?
Not all
pelvises. I had a 4-hour OP baby. It was gorgeous, but like, it's not all pelvises. Yeah.
But most, and multips have a quicker time than primips. But ultimately, what has to happen here is that these babies have to rotate. And so there's so many women that get diagnosed with deep transverse arrest or what's called failure to progress. And I hate this phrase so much. It's such a negative, non-successful, non-helpful phrase. But deep transverse arrest essentially means that the baby is not rotating into the anterior, even though he's low enough. And a lot of providers assume, oh, that means your baby's too big to fit through your pelvis. That's CPD diagnosis. But in fact, it really means your baby has not rotated into the anterior yet. And patience and hydration or IV fluids, and a lot of time. In fact, there's this great OB in Atlanta, Georgia, Dr. Boots Taylor, and he has this great phrase. He goes, oh, that just needs a tincture of time. And I just love it. I love it. He's making a play on words, of course, because we do make tincture of time for lung ailments. But the fact that the labor just needs time is such a brilliant and antiquated and lost art of obstetrics and midwifery. So this baby just needed time. And even though she was having her second baby and it should have gone really fast, it didn't. It went long and slow and painful because her baby was in a funky position.
But there's so many convoluted like intricacies to that, because if she didn't have skilled midwife that could have said, here's where I'm feeling suture lines, so let's roll into these positions to make more space in the pelvis for baby to come in through that transverse arrest, right? Where they're facing left or facing right, and they need to come through those, ischial spines, whether one is really, really round or really pokey or really big or really small. And like, oh, there's more room on the left or there's more room on the right. And you can come onto this side because we're a little bit on the right, or we're asynclitic this way, right? If you don't have a skilled provider that can turn to the doula or the husband, because birthing person is in labor land, right? And say, okay, we've got a lot of room on the right. Baby's facing here. I'm going to go take a nap because I have to sleep because this is, and help mom get into positions that's going to help this baby make that turn, then it will be very challenging. And that's something that's a bit of a lost art.
It will likely end in cesarean, in all honesty, because nobody has that patience anymore and nobody has that skill anymore. That's why I want a doula at every birth. That's why I think everyone needs midwives. If you try all the things and then you need a cesarean, okay, that's what an obstetrician is for. But if you don't try all the things and you go right to a cesarean, that's crazy. We need all those things. We need all those techniques and all those beautiful things. In this video, we saw the peanut ball, the cub, hands and knees, McRoberts, inversions, I mean, I don't know.
Side
Keep
lying
naming them.
release, peanut ball between the feet so the knees are together, opening out the outlet. There were so many obvious.
Shake the apple tree.
Here's
right?
what I'm seeing. Here's where baby is. Do this. Here's what I'm seeing. Here's where baby is. Do this.
Brilliant.
And so much less focus on dilation.
Great midwife. Great midwife. Yeah, and exactly. Less focus on dilation. We've talked about this in other videos. Dilation is bullshit.
Yeah.
It means nothing. It's really about position, psychology. Oh, wait, we did a post on this.
Exactly. Baby fingernails. Oh, yes.
Yes.
They both have something to suck on. So this is called a newborn exam. When the midwife or the nurse or the pediatrician examines the baby from head to toe, it's a full systems review of all 10 systems. And it's when the weigh and the measure happens and when all the little bits and pieces and the tricks of your baby get to be seen. And in the hospital system, oftentimes babies are removed from the family room or certainly are on a warmer or a baby bed somewhere separate from the mother's body. But one of the beautiful things about midwifery is that we usually do the newborn exam on or right next to the mom or the birther so that they can be in full contact with their baby and so that their partner can participate and so that they're in a space that feels like home, like comfortable, whether it's actually at your home or whether it's a birth center. And we do a full exam of your baby head to toe, examining all their reflexes and movements and all the things that make them healthy and normal. We're also doing a gestational age assessment. We're also doing a general neurological assessment. And then we're making sure that they are functioning the way that newborns should, respirations and pulse and heart rate and all those things. And it's so fun to participate in that. I'm so sad for moms that birth in the hospital where their babies are taken away and they think, oh, something has to be done to my baby that I don't get to be a part of. And I'm so sad about that because really nothing could be more beautiful than witnessing your baby in their normalcy, in their perfection. So we do that right on or right next to the family. And then we also invite the partner, the mom, the siblings, the birther to participate in all the levels of the exam. So when we cut the cord, we say, who wants to cut the cord? Because it's not my baby, you can do it. And when we weigh the baby, we say, who wants to weigh the baby? You know, and when we do all the measurements, we invite the family to participate because it's your baby. And I think this is the part, if I were to transfer one piece of midwifery wisdom into the hospital obstetrical patriarchal birthing system, this would be it. It's that it does not take any medical degree to measure a baby. Like, let's just be real. You did not go to medical school to measure a baby. So why does the medical world hold on to this like it's some kind of dying art? You know, certainly do the cardiac assessment, do the full lung assessment, do the things that people actually do need to go to school to, but let the family weigh and measure and participate in their baby's like announcement in all the ways that they can. So that's what we love to do in midwifery wisdom. And what we're seeing here is that midwife doing that. She's evaluating that the clavicles are intact and, you know, the ears are of a normal placement. And then she's measuring the baby and she's checking the reflexes and all those fun things. So I love to point that out because that's something so different than the mainstream medical world. Leila, you do a lot of births in the hospital and you've birthed in a hospital that's pretty evolved, right? Some of the hospitals you birth in are pretty different than mainstream.
Yeah. And you know what? I think every hospital right now is really, really, really working hard to do golden hour. It's a policy that every hospital gets a golden hour unless baby needs an immediate resuscitation. But it's all newborn exams are still done in the warmer across the room. Yeah. So, you know, everything is done in the warmer across the room. And so what happens is dad or partner leaves mom and birthing person to observe the newborn exam and be present with their new child, and the mother is left alone if they don't have a doula or a mother or another person. And
which, because of
right
COVID, lots of people didn't have anyone else. Yeah.
So right in the moments where they're having their vulva sutured and their vagina or their perineum, or the bleeding or the birth of the placenta, or the postpartum instructions are being told to them, while their partner or their other birthing support person is attending the newborn exam. So it is still very prevalent, and it is a challenge, but because of time. Conveyor belt births.
Ooh,
you know, you have an antepartum, an L&D, and a postpartum. You're induced, your birth, and you move on to postpartum. It's just conveyor belted over, you know. And so, you know, there are some implementations that have become policy for the greater good, which is great. But there's a lot of work to do. It's happening. It's a lot of work to do.
Well, what a beautiful birth. Thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah, that was fun to watch.
That was a good one.
Beautiful to see the papa working with his mama. I love seeing the toddlers come in.
Yeah.
So cute. I love getting the videos of when they come in the room, like wait at the door. And I
me too.
Photos of them coming in.
Me too. That's awesome. Well, let's see what can change over the next decade of letting families be more central in their own baby's care.